again, everyone, it is me again, Konception2. If you've seen me earlier in the channel, this is the remaster version that was put on by Double Fine Studios in 2015. And we're running specifically on the PC version because it has some animation skips that you can only do on this version. So it's literally by several minutes the fastest version, and it has nothing to do with load times, which is a little bit unusual for runs. Usually it's purely because of load times for some reason, but this is all about being able to skip cutscenes and animations. All right, and I'm just going to click through some text here. You'll notice that as well that there are usually dialogue lines, like actually voice acted lines. However, I have turned them off because turning off the dialogue lines is going to save us probably like 2 to 3 minutes throughout the run. So we don't get to hear some of the amazing voice acting, unfortunately, but we also get to go fast, which is, it's a good trade-off in my opinion.
Yeah, that guy's head has all of 5 polygons. So.
Yeah, and this is the remaster version. So,
hey, now.
Yeah, that's right. The art style is it's meant to be very polygonal. If you're unfamiliar with what the game is story-wise, so what exactly is happening here is we're playing as Manny Calavera. He is a Grim Reaper, but not in the sense that you're probably most familiar with Grim Reapers. He's actually a Grim Reaper kind of like travel agent, for lack of a better term. And what he's doing is helping people shepherd into the afterlife. And everyone is eligible for certain travel packages based on how they performed in life. So what he's trying to get is a lot of clients who get like the best possible, A-class train ticket all the way straight to the afterlife. But unfortunately, he's having some difficulty with that. And every one of his clients, for some reason, is getting the worst package, which is basically walking for 4 straight years to the afterlife. Oops. Oh, you're not done yet. Talk to him. There you go. All right, so we're grabbing a few balloons here. We grabbed 3 balloons to be specific. One of them is inflated, the other 2 are not. What goes into this run is essentially solving puzzles and getting through to the next areas as fast as possible with as few moments of backtracking as possible. So we're trying to accomplish everything that we pass by just once. But there is also some speed tech as well that we'll get into a little bit later. We've actually seen it a few things a couple times, but we'll get into it as it comes across. But right now we're just grabbing items in order to solve puzzles as fast as we can later on.
I do love the warp halfway up the rope. That's
yes, just like every place has it. Yeah, every workplace has it. All right, so we just snuck into the boss's office. He's got an automatic like messaging machine on his computer. We need to be able to change his message so that his secretary will be able to sign a work order for us so we can move on. Otherwise, he'll just say, "Go away, I'm busy," something like that, and then he won't let us move on. One key piece of speed tech that's happening as well, by the way, is that on certain transitions, and unfortunately I'm not able to do it when things are like doors are opening, but there are certain transitions that for some reason there's a long animation where Manny has to like walk for a few seconds very slowly before I'm able to gain control. But if oh geez, come on, hold on, little crash here, but we got it.
A little crash.
There we go. There we go.
Here we go. Back in business.
Yep. Easy crashes. The game is relatively unstable, unfortunately. So sometimes it just bops right back to the. I run it in Steam Big Picture mode because that's gives the audio the best quality. Weirdly, so sometimes it just bops immediately back to that based on your inputs and stuff like that. But that's all right. We got back. We're fine. Anyway, as I was saying, sometimes with animations, Manny will just walk very slowly, and that I won't gain control until after like a couple seconds, and then I'll eventually gain control. However, if I click on a transition point and then also use my WASD keys to tank through it, as I call it, then he will skip those animations and continue to walk forward instead of having to wait a couple seconds before forward, which is very key. Another Another key piece of speed tech here that we do is called gliding. So what we do, ideally in terms of inventory, so obviously we're holding a lot of different items right now. In terms of inventory, what happens is what you're meant to do is anytime you're meant to grab something from your inventory, Manny's supposed to stop, take it out, and then keep walking. However, if you are pressing on a transition point to run through it via clicking instead of being using your tank controls, then you will and then you try to use an item while attempting to transition. Instead, it will continue running and as if you're gliding on ice, and then the item will pop out of your inventory. Very interesting. We just filled 2 of the balloons with some packing material, by the way. Don't worry about it. We're just gonna shove it down the mail pipe here.
Yeah, of course, there's nothing inappropriate about that purple balloon at all.
Nope. It's just and nothing bad will happen from it. In terms of story, because I always like to delve back to the story in this game because it's an excellent story. So what is happening here is, as I mentioned, Manny keeps getting these bad cases, right? Like everyone is getting the terrible travel package, and he's not sure why. Especially when some people that he has taken care of are they're not like maybe not the best, but they're not living the worst life. So he's really confused as to why some of these people are getting the worst travel package. Come on, worst travel packages. So what he's doing, and he notices that his coworker Domino is getting a lot of clients that are getting the A-class package, that silver bullet train straight to the afterlife. And what he's going to do is he's going to try to steal his coworker's mail to see if he can get any clues as to why he's getting the better clients. Because he doesn't think it's fair. Which it isn't. He's right. Absolutely right.
Yeah, bureaucracy is generally not fair.
Yeah, exactly.
So didn't you do something here with the fire extinguisher?
Yes, so the fire extinguisher is going to be important for later, but there's actually quite a bit of a little bit of a animation skip that we do there as well. If we utilize the fire extinguisher and then put it away as we are walking towards the mail machine there, for some reason, I don't really know why, but it skips this whole animation sequence where the guy in there who's fixing the machine accidentally lights himself on fire. So it saves like 15 seconds, and I don't really know why. If you do it that way, it skips it, but it just does. So we just go with it. This is Salvador, and of course, naturally, as with every group, there's an underground resistance in the workplace. So Salvador helps breaks us out of this little place that we were captured in because our boss was unhappy with the mail situation. So he literally just locked us in a room, as one does. Work is fine. Everything is fine.
I wouldn't want to be in that union.
No, exactly. But luckily, Salvador from the underground resistance here breaks us out. And we're going to now help him because we are pretty sure things are crooked over here. And you know what? They'd be right. So we're going to grab this trophy this is actually Domino's office, so we're still trying to get some more clues here. But we're grabbing a few key items. One, we grabbed a trophy out of Domino's desk, and 2, we're going to grab his nasty mouth guard from his boxing. But that's going to be important for later. And our quest for the underground resistance in order to help them, right now, they need a way to communicate discreetly. So naturally, what they are leaning towards is pigeons, and the old-fashioned let's tie a note to a pigeon's leg and communicate that way, but they don't have any pigeons, so we're going to go to the top of the roof here, and then we're going to get some pigeon eggs so we can raise them from scratch, and then teach them to send messages back and forth. Again,
they're more corporate than go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, again, as one does, that's all.
As one does.
Yeah.
They're more corporate than they thought. They came up with a solution that they don't have a means to resolve.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, wouldn't it be great if we had trained pigeons? It's like, yes. Do we have any? No. Oh, fair enough. might as well go wrangle up some pigeons then.
Exactly. Yeah, and also very low-tech solutions as well. Pretty standard corporate. So you remember I got an inflated balloon at the party earlier, and then I also got a loaf of bread, which combine those two things is going to attract the pigeons to the that bowl there, but also scare them away when they pop it by accident. Therefore, now their nest is unoccupied for me to grab some egg.
'Tis a fine place for a nest.
Yep, exactly. All right.
There's a part when we get to the Resistance. I have a criticism for LucasArts. A little bit of feedback. I know 1998 was a long time ago, but you know, if their feedback department's still open, I have some feedback.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure it's still open. It's probably warranted. There's an example
They're
of the
accepting
gliding.
pigeons.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, pigeons only, skeletal pigeons specifically. Yeah, so you saw a little bit of the gliding there as I was crossing over to the room. Now we're taking the mouth guard, filling it with a substance called Philodent. And the reason why we're doing this is we're actually going to take an imprint of our teeth. Because you cannot access the computers in the system unless you can prove it's you via DNA. So, or not DNA, but like, you know, something specific, skeletal, you know, something that is specific to you. So luckily they have not erased Manny's accounts from the registration. So we could still get into the computers. Just need to get an imprint of our teeth. So we're going to give that to the Resistance so they can hack into the mainframe, more or less.
All right, here's my concern.
Yes.
Anyone that watches The Mandalorian, people were really mad about the space and the armor for the breasts. Yeah, why do the female skeletons have rib bones in their chest? What is that?
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of questionable things in terms of how do skeletons do this in this game.
Is this a Vietnam flashback? Where are we?
So what has happened now is we needed to get out of there, obviously. We cannot stay in the office building because we are meant to be held captive at the moment. So we needed to get out of there, and what we're trying to do is escape. Now, another key thing that I have neglected to mention story-wise is that there was a woman in our office shortly after the mail time, you know, incident, for lack of a better term, and her name is Meche. Meche lived an excellent life as a human, and when she was brought to Manny's desk, she was given the worst travel package. So Manny is like, this is ridiculous. I have to figure out what's going on. Meche was sent on her way, unfortunately, and to, you know, take that 4-year-long walk of shame, more or less, because, you know, she has to get to the afterlife somehow. And he just feels like she was so wronged that not only are we trying to escape, but we're also going to try and find Meche and get her the best, you know, treatment that she deserves. So now we have escaped the office, and we're also on the hunt for Meche to try and get her the package that she deserves, because she did a lot for charity and all this. Yeah, it kind of goes into a long, you know, everything she did in life, and she fully deserved it.
But how many speedrun marathons did she commentate, though?
Just 2, weirdly, just 2. Just 2. Okay, so fascinating enough from a speedrun perspective. The this run is broken up into 4 years. Like I said, it takes 4 years to make the long trek from here to the afterlife gates. So what we're doing is we're making that journey pretty much, you know, through the 4 years. We're going to be tracking Meche that whole time, basically. So every one of the 4 years has one piece of RNG in terms of speedrun potential, and this is the year 1 RNG part right here. What is happening here is for lack of a better term, I call this a tree farm. I don't really know exactly what it is, but what we have to do is we have to make the tree unstable enough for it to fall over to clear our path. The way we do that is by using this wheelbarrow to run over the wires to stop one of the gears on each side, to make sure that they're even on both sides, and that's going to create the most unevenness. And there we go. Took a little longer than I would have liked, so that was like pretty slow RNG. The cycles weren't really lining up well, but we got there. All right. So we take our rocket car over towards the sign, which if you have the eagle eye, you might have noticed that whenever we got the car moving again, our friend Glottis here, who is a demon, by the way, I kind of glossed over that. He's our friend, but he's a demon, which is why he looks a little bit different. He's not a skeleton. Our friend Glottis accidentally ran into that sign, loosening it up, which is great because we now have another puzzle to solve here. What is meant to happen at this part is that you're meant to place the sign all over the map until you find the exact spot that triggers the door opening. However, luckily the spot is the same spot every time. So I just walk directly to where I know I'm supposed to put the sign and put it down. Yep. And then there you go. Speed tech.
Game design.
Yep. But yeah, ideally what happens in that puzzle, you place the sign, then the sign spins, telling you where you're supposed to put it next. You follow it, kind of in a straight line until, you overshoot it or you land directly on the spot, basically. Here's this gliding tech that I was mentioning as well. So I'm going to hammer through that transition. Now you can see I'm kind of like gliding through the ground here. And then instead of having to stop to manage my inventory, it does it while I'm walking. So it saves me a lot of time over the run, especially in a inventory heavy speed run. So naturally, these are the flaming beavers. No better way to transition than say that. You might have noticed earlier I picked up so we had to pick up a few bones in order to solve a puzzle earlier. So I picked up 3 extra bones at that point, and that is because the flaming beavers here are very attracted to bones. They like to eat bones. So we're going to throw them in this I believe it's like a river of oil, if I'm not mistaken. I could be. I always forget what the material is made of, like if it's oil or whatever, tar. It might be tar, actually. That kind of makes more sense. So we throw the bone in the tar. We pull out the fire extinguisher from earlier. As they're jumping in to try and grab the bone, we're going to extinguish them. Otherwise, we won't be able to get by.
Mm-hmm.
As you saw when Manny tried to encounter them the first time, they just chased him away. So we got to be able to extinguish them and get around them. The last bone here.
It does appear that they use the bones for their dam.
Mm-hmm. They use the bones for their dam. It also makes you wonder why they're chasing after this bone I threw specifically when they have a bed full of bones. But each their own.
That's the sins of capitalism right there.
Exactly.
The bone you don't have.
Exactly. So we need to use this key. We can finally get out of this forest area. And now we're in an area called Rubikava. And this has more natural has more natural jumping points than there's cutscenes in between that I'm skipping. So it looks like I'm just jumping back and forth between places, but there's a transition. We're just skipping right by it. But now we're in a place called Rubikava. This is where we end up landing after our car runs out of gas, I believe. But it's also like the next natural stopping point on like the path. We want to see if Meche has passed through here. The person that we're talking to, his name is Celso. If you remember, like near the very beginning of the run, I opened a body bag to get somebody out. That was Celso here. Celso also got the terrible travel package, and he wasn't as great in life as Meche was, but he was fine. He probably deserved like a mid-class package, not the low package that he got. And there's a whole side plot where Celso is trying to find his own wife during this journey, who also passed away. And we're gonna help him do that over the course of the 4 years as well. All right. But basically, we're about to be done with year 1. This is the last few seconds of year 1, actually. So year 1 is like medium in length in terms of the speed run. Year 2 is the longest, but year 3 is the shortest, and then year 4 is roughly the same length as year 1. So they're just to give you a reference of length. All right, and after this transition point, we'll be in year 2. All right, year 2, here we are. So this is the same area we were just in, Rubikava. However, it's been a whole year that since we had seen Manny. He stopped here basically just hoping that thinking that we have passed Meche and we're waiting for her to show up. In in the meantime, he's kind of made a career for himself here. He turned this little cafe into a mini casino. He's just kind of waited and made it like a more of a tourist attraction, so people will be more inclined to come by. However, we're going to learn from the ship captain here that that Meche has boarded a boat and she's already passed through here, so we got to get going.
And there goes our short time spent as a nightclub manager.
Yep. Okay, there we go. A lot of dialogue sequences there. All right, so yeah, now we have to get on a boat and move ourselves now, but it's not so simple. Of course, we have puzzles to solve. So we need 3 things to get on the boat. What has happened is that the captain has a boat for us, which is great. Not so great is that he won't just let us on the boat. Our friend Glottis needs to come with us, which Glottis is fine. Glottis can come on the boat as long as he works on the boat during the process. So that's all well and good, but Glottis also needs the tools to work. So we have to be able to get him some tools. That's one thing we have to accomplish. Come on. Oops. That's what it looks like when it goes into our inventory screen. The second thing that we need to accomplish is that no one is allowed on the boat unless they're part of the Maritime Union. So we have to get some union membership cards, naturally. And the third thing that we need is that there's only room for one person on the boat, and that person's gonna be Glottis because he can work. He's a mechanic by trade and knows how to do that stuff. So we need to get somebody who is meant to be working on the boat off the boat. So that is the next goal that we're going to have as well. So we got to accomplish all 3 things before we can get out of here. So we're putting those things in motion. This is Charlie. Charlie deals in counterfeits. As we're going to see, he's going to pull out a betting slip machine and all that. We're going to Charlie so we can get our Maritime Union card, basically. And of course, like any good item trading and puzzle point and click game, there's always a quid pro quo. It's never as simple as you want it to be.
Mm-hmm. Charlie exclusively goes in for these backdoor deals.
Mm-hmm. So he says, "Yeah, I can make Maritime Union cards. You have to go down and find my suitcase, though, and then I'll get you your Union cards." The suitcase is locked somewhere in the big casino, so we have like a miniature casino. Like where we're at is the extent of our casino portion right here. It's just like a couple roulette tables and stuff like that. But there is like a big VIP casino and track across the way that we have to go and get it from. So first pit stop, we're gonna grab some booze there. Very important. We are going to show Glottis, our friend here, the VIP card, and Glottis has a vice. Don't we all? Glottis is a bit of a lush. Likes his drink. We'll put it kindly. So he sees that we have a casino VIP card. He takes it and he runs straight over to the casino. But that is good for us because it's actually how we're going to progress the story. It's key. There we go. I don't need that. I don't know why I pulled that out. There we go. So we're gonna head over in that direction as well towards the big casino. And yeah, just some walking points here. So there's not too much tech to explain or story to explain. We're getting ready to walk over to the casino portion. We're actually gonna make a pit stop to the top of the casino where the security booth is. And we're going to talk to our friend up there. She has a bit of a crush on us, which is really good for us because she has something we need. So she has a metal detector, which is going to be very important for us later on. Manny doesn't even know it yet, but I know it because I've played this game before. So she has a bit of a crush on us. We got this bottle of liquid that we're going to drink, which is the equivalent of Goldschlager. Another reason why, it's kind of strange for skeletons. He just drank that, and it's fine. He doesn't have a stomach or anything, but You just drink that. And this is going to make the metal detector go off because we have some gold in our system. Which we actually want to be caught because this security guard who has a crush on us wants an excuse to have to detain us for a little bit and talk to us. So we talked to her a little bit, just long enough to say, hey, I really like your metal detector. Can I have it? And then she says, oh, you just wanted to talk to me for my metal detector? Sure, great. Yeah, you can have this metal detector. Here, take it. Eat. There it goes. Throws out the window.
The things we do for maritime union ship membership.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's very relatable.
It's better than the travel agent union. We were like on the side of a building.
Yeah, exactly. We were climbing up ropes and stuff.
We got locked in a closet for breaking the mail system accidentally. And justly.
Yeah, justly for sure. Accidentally, not so much. That's not going to hold up. Come on. That's a
I
weird
get to have my union rep here with me.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, she threw it out the window, and so I mentioned a big time casino and track, right? Now the track is true. It is a track. It's just not a track that you would think. You know, you might think racing horses or racing dogs, but this one has racing giant cats, and this is where their food and litter boxes. So this is, of course, exactly where our metal detector landed. So we have to use our scythe in order to get the metal detector to beep so we could find out where it was and then hook it out of the kitty litter with the scythe. So now we got the metal detector.
Oh, Carla, you card.
Yep. And now we can go into our VIP High Rollers Lounge area. You can see Glottis up at the top there. And then this specific scene is a great example as to why we don't have voice lines anymore. This cutscene is unskippable, and I cannot skip through the text like I normally do. I just have to let this happen. If I had voice lines active, I would have to wait until the voice lines finished playing before the text would move on. However, since I've taken the voice lines off, it just has to show on the screen and then clear. So in this unskippable conversation, it saves 30 seconds alone to not have voice lines on. So it's very, very important. And then there's a few things like that throughout the run, but this is the key point. We have 2 conversations with this individual named Nick that are unskippable.
I don't know if there's a in-game reason for why some skeletons are trying to go to the afterlife and some are just chilling.
So that's an interesting question. So for example, now, I don't know how it works with everybody, but Manny, the character we play as, is somebody who wants to move on to the afterlife. And how it works for a lot of people who don't get like the great packages, they kind of have to work their way up. They have to get enough money or get enough, good karma, for lack of a better term. I don't know what else you would call it. In order for them to be able, earn it up and move on, which is exactly what Manny has been trying to do at the travel agency, but he can't advance because he is getting all these, these lower travel packages. So he's trying to figure out, not only for the good people in the world, but for himself so he can move on his own to the afterlife. Now, I don't know for people like Nick, who is kind of like one of those scumbag mob lawyer kind of types. I don't know if like he just likes hanging around here. He has no intention of ever crossing over. But Manny does. Manny for sure does. So I'm not exactly sure the lore of the side characters, but people are trying to get out, generally speaking. All right, so we're gonna open that, which triggers a cycle sequence basically. And we're gonna grab this turkey baster, which will be important for later. Now we just have to wait here for a second. I mentioned before, Glottis is lush, so he is driving this waiter wild because he keeps ordering drinks. So here's the waiter. We are in this poor waiter who's already had a hard enough day. We're actually going to lock him in, lock him in this closet so that he cannot give drinks to Glottis anymore. And that is very important. We just skipped a cutscene, but what happened in that cutscene was that Glottis is starting to get mad, and he just comes in on his own to chug straight from this cask because he's like, I'm not waiting for no waiter. I'm just going to drink from the cask. So we're going to, now that it's empty, we're actually going to open the top with the can opener that we got and get in, so that when the monster who puts empty casks down here in storage will bring us down here, because spoiler alert, this is where Charlie's suitcase is. So we had to get down here somehow, and we had to get down here in a sneaky way, so we hid in an empty cask. Now I'm gonna focus on this for a bit because it's actually somewhat precise. So you can see we're in a forklift here. And now the suitcase is in a hidden room halfway up this elevator. So I have to use the forklift in order to jam the elevator, but I can only do it when the forklift is moving up. It doesn't work when it's moving back down. So I have to be very precise to make sure I hit this, or else we're going to lose a bunch of time. So hold on. There we go. Good.
Hey!
There we go. So yeah, because if it's moving down, it doesn't jam open. It just doesn't work. So now we're going to use the forklift here to open up the pathway. And this secret room is where Charlie's suitcase is being. And he opens the suitcase out of obviously morbid curiosity, because what is in here that Charlie is so passionate about. And what is in this suitcase is a suitcase full of Class A tickets to the afterlife. Again, that is the highest travel package there is, and Class A tickets is literally, I said silver bullet train to the afterlife. That's not a euphemism. It's an actual bullet train to the afterlife. So you go from point A through the gates, basically. The highest class luxury way to take. Again, this was in the 90s, so trains were more of a thing back then, I guess. So
don't throw shade on Amtrak, man. Come on.
Yeah, I don't want to lose that Amtrak sponsorship. So we're highly suspicious now. Charlie is not a good person. He just pulled a gun on us, so that's not what good people do. So how does he have a suitcase full of tickets? Not to mention, anyone is only supposed to have one of anything, so it's not like he should have multiples. It doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, talk to our main squeeze here.
Yep. So that the cutscene that was unskippable with Nick, the scumbag mobster lawyer guy. I think the reason why that's unskippable is because you see during the cutscene, he has a cigarette case and a key falls out of it, very clumsily, obviously. However, when we pick up the cigarette case after he leaves, we can't get the key out. It's like behind a locked compartment. We don't know how to get it out. So naturally, we take it to our security guard friend, who has this built-in bomb shelter thing, and she explodes the case, again, as one does. And now we have the key.
I do have a pressing question from the chat. I have the
please,
same question. Quo says, "Why is he gonna try to shoot the skeleton?" What? You're already dead. There's nothing that could compel you to do anything else. You're dead. Dead. Does he get reset back to the travel agency? No,
but there is a lore-specific in-game mechanic as to why this is fine. It'll come way more into play later on. But there is a way for skeletons to die, and actually be dead.
So we're just kind of dead.
Well, we're mostly dead, as the Princess Bride says. But yeah, how it works. Oh yeah, this happens sometimes. If you try to transition point to quickly while you go into your inventory, it will kind of jam up at the transition point, and you kind of have to reset it. But yes, so in-game lore-wise, what's happening? There is a way for skeletons to die, and it's actually going to be prevalent here coming up soon. There is a fertilizer, for lack of a better term, or something that reacts with bones, a material that reacts with bones, but it also has something to do with plants, for lack of a better term. So instead of having bullets in those guns, they're like fertilizer bullets. And what happens when when skeletons are shot with it specifically, is that they turn into like these bush things. We're actually going to see it at the end of year 2. And then they're no longer able to move or function. So they I think they lose consciousness. That's not really clear to me if they lose consciousness or not. But they don't have the ability to live anymore. And we'll see what that looks like here at the end of this end of this year, because we're gonna see 2 bodies who have went under that same fate, unfortunately. So
we're gonna walk across a field full of trees and bushes and be like, "Ah, damn."
Yeah, all those bodies. Yeah.
Gary Jules' Mad World plays in the background.
Yep. Exactly. All around me are familiar skeletal bodies.
Worn out bushes.
Yeah, worn out bushes. All right. So we skipped it via cutscene, but we actually one of our friends there was we found her dying actually from that same deal. So well, that's fine. I can do it here. She was shot by one of those like fertilizer bullets, and she was starting to turn into a bush, but she was able to give us this this coat check card before she died, and now this gives us, you know, it kind of leads us on a series of clues here. So now from the coat check, we pull out this coat, and now we have a card that says the rusty anchor, and it appears to me to be like a tattoo design on the card. So now we're gonna go to the tattoo shop and figure out what's going on with that. Go ahead. Go ahead, Manny. You got this.
I believe in you, Manny.
All right. So so yeah, for the lore reasons. So skeletons can die. There is a way for them to mortally go. Now, do I know if there is a way for everything to die? Because again, it's not just skeletons here, right? We've seen all kinds of other creatures. So I don't know if, you know, demons or anything like that are able to die in this version of the afterlife or not. Questions on questions.
And we went through all this to get our Maritime Union card?
So in we have the Maritime Union card now. So Charlie, even though he stuck a gun at us there, he did give us the Maritime Union card. So that is done. But remember, we have 3 steps that we have to accomplish here. Maritime Union card is just one of them. So we have. Yeah.
He's a dishonorable man.
Yeah.
He stuck a dirt gun in our face.
Yeah.
With the intent of turning us into a bush.
Yep.
But you know, he is eyeing the afterlife, so he did fulfill his end of the bargain.
Yeah, exactly.
He did give us the card.
He's a bad guy, but he's not a dishonorable one. He's still gonna fulfill his end of the bargain. Now, yeah, as I was saying, there's 3 steps that we have to do to get by year 2. Maritime Union card is one of them. Check, we're done. The second one was we have to get Glottis tools so that he can work on the ship, which we have put into motion but is not yet done. The way we put that into motion is that the worker bees who work on the docks, we've actually gotten them so far to unionize and go on strike. However, this in the thought that, you know, they're going on strike, they're not going to work, they don't need their tools. However, this place is corrupt and unjust, and they were jailed for unionizing. So we don't have their tools because they're in jail. So we have to get them out of jail still.
Got to break them out of the hoosecow.
Yeah.
Exactly. The Old Bailey.
There we go. That's what we need. So that's the only time we have to go inside of our inventory, really, because so how I navigate my inventory quickly is I use the number keys and the number associated with that individual item. When I press, like, for example, 8, it will take out the 8th item in my inventory. However, I have more than 9 items in my inventory right now. It's the only time in the run I will. So I actually had to go in my inventory in order to take out the item that I need. The only time I have to do this. And then now we get a visual glitch where Mandy's head disappears for no reason. Happens every time, and I don't know why. Only happens when I'm speedrunning it, though. It does not happen like when I play casually or anything like that. It didn't happen then, but it happened when I'm speedrunning it. So I don't know what about, you know, my routing or whatever makes that happen. So near the beginning, when we first talked to Charlie, we confiscated a fake betting slip printing machine off of him. And now through the lore of the run, you would figure out what exact date we're meant to match in order to produce the betting slip that we need. However, again, it's the same every time, so I just punch in the numbers and the date that I know it's supposed to be, and then I print the slip, which is what I'm going to do and grab it up here. It produces a envelope that, instead of money, which is what it normally should have, it has a scandalous picture in there that is going to be useful for us to blackmail Nick the lawyer, and Nick the lawyer is going to then get our worker bees out of prison, thus freeing their tools, and thus being able to get Glottis to work on the ship. So that will check mark number 2.
That Nick the lawyer was it was a picture of him with a bunch of bushes.
Something like that. It was him smooching on the mob boss's wife, I think.
Okay,
I think is what it was.
You know,
Yep.
Can't be doing that, Nick.
Yep. Yep. So now we show him this. And
You
he's
passed the bar?
Yep, I guess so. The skeletal bar. I would tell you, so, yeah, a young man unjustly in prison. So that's the worker bee guy right there. He's out of prison. We get his tools. That's 2 of 3 conditions met. Now we actually put the 3rd condition in place as well while we were in the tattoo shop, which you might have noticed. There was a sailor guy in there that we put some nasty water into his drink. And he drank it and passed out and is laying down in the tattoo parlor. And that sailor guy is who we're trying to not have show up for work so we can have passage on the ship. However, the tattoo guy called the ship captain and said, "Hey, I have your boy here. He's passed out drunk. I'll make sure he shows up for work on time." So that's not enough, because as of right now, we still think that he's going to show up for the captain rather still thinks he's going to show up for work. So we have to go one step further, and we have to convince the ship captain that he's dead. So these are the skeletal bodies when shot with that fertilizer ammunition. So this is what it looks like.
Aww.
Now, they kind of turn into this floral arrangement, for lack of a better term.
That's something.
Yep.
That's definitely the Fandango part of this game, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, we have to go one step further, and we have to have the captain think that sailor, whose name is Naranja, by the way, that sailor Naranja is not only not going to show up for work, that he's dead, so he never will show up for work again. So the way we do that is, when he was passed out, we grabbed his dog tags, and then we gave the metal detector to the mortician here. And then while his back was turned, quote unquote, because we actually get it right on the, it's such a tight cycle. We get it as he's turning. While his back is turned, though, we throw the dog tags on one of the bodies, and then he uses the metal detector to find the dog tags. Thus, the mortician thinks that it's Naranja, calls the ship captain, tells him that he's dead. So now that is check mark, 3 of 3, all conditions met to get on the boat.
We're nothing if not resourceful.
Yes, exactly. Now, there is one last condition that we have to do that is kind of not mentioned, but what we have to do is we cannot just leave our casino in rough shape like it is, because there is somebody in our casino who is currently ripping us off because he is cheating the roulette system by using a magnet to make it land on the numbers that he wants.
Scoundrel.
Yep, so we also have to make sure that he doesn't do that, and this is the RNG sequence of the of year 2, which is we could get a good cycle here that would make it so I could press the button right away and it would end, or we might have to go through a whole roulette first and then press the button when it's over, which is exactly what we got. We got the bad cycle, but that's okay.
So you blaze through years 3 and 4.
Yep. Year 3 is especially really short.
Well, don't blink, you'll miss it.
Yeah. Come on now.
Well,
there we go. Year 3.
Hey, all right.
Bad RNG there, but you literally can't control it. You just have to hope it's a fast cycle. Literally nothing you can do about it. But now we're in year 3. We get on the ship. Oops. Trigger. Gotta trigger the transition point. There we go. Nope.
This is a massacre.
Yep. So what, we skipped a big cutscene, obviously. There we go. Now trigger. We skipped a big cutscene, but what happened there is we had a boat, but then we were boarded by somebody who tried to take us out. Obviously took out a lot of our sailors, and then they put us captive inside the boat. So we're currently locked in the engine room. I don't know how boats work, but I think it's the engine room. And then we need to find a way to get out. So what we do is luckily enough for us, we have controls over the ship in here with us, so we can move the boat slightly. However, it's anchored in with 2 anchors. So basically, we have a puzzle involved here where we have to move the ship in such a way that the anchors are now at a slant, and then we have to raise and lower the anchors so that they lock together, like I have here. Now they're locked together, I'm going to hook it to the porthole of the ship here. Head on over to the button on the other side of where I am currently. Press that button, and then it's going to straight up rip the ship in half. Voila. And now this, so which is already unreasonable enough, right? That the ship is ripped in half. How are we even staying afloat, right? Beyond that, since we have the engine half, we can move the ship still. So we're gone. Doesn't really make sense, but we're gone.
Outie?
Yeah, we're gone. Come on. There we go. However, I mean, you can see, at least in some sort of realistic fashion, we obviously don't get very far, and we're at the bottom of the ocean right now. Luckily for us, we're dead, so breathing isn't a problem. But we cannot, as you're about to see, we cannot just navigate our way into the dark ocean because there's all kinds of creatures around. So we have to have some sort of light so they don't mess with us. Of course, luckily for us, this kind individual comes by who has a light attached to his head, that naturally we are just going to grab not just the light but the whole creature, and then just hand it to Glottis, and that is our lantern, and he just has to take it.
All right.
Yep.
So we're just going about our business. We just got the guy now.
Exactly. Go on. Oh, this happens sometimes. It's a weird transition point. If you go fast enough, you can like slide in the gap between the rocks and the NPCs there. However, I guess I didn't move fast enough. Occasionally it just kind of jams up there, and I can't go by them that way. I have to walk all the way around them. It'll waste a little time, but it's not a big deal. A couple seconds. You can see also here there's a submarine that's being watched by a menacing looking octopus. That is the crew that kind of tried to take our ship down.
The octopus was part of the crew or the ship?
Well, the ship was, but the octopus is in on it as well. Kind of like
they're all in on it.
Kind of like I have control over a creature of the deep kind of deal,
They released the Kraken.
They released the Kraken, exactly. It's a wonderful way of putting it. So this is, some underground, underwater secret base, being managed by the people who are trying to take us down. And we're not going to see it because I'm going to skip the cutscene. But spoiler alert: the person who's trying to take us down is Domino, who worked with us at the travel agency.
Wow.
Yep. And
what goes around comes around.
Exactly. And also, spoiler alert, Meche is here with him as well. Who is the person we've been looking for years now. She is more held captive though. She's not like on it with him. Luckily, she's still a good person, she's more like held captive here by him, but luckily we're gonna break out of here with her and get a move on.
Here's our Huckleberry.
Yeah, exactly. Here's the RNG cycle of year 3, which is we want to get a good cycle here. So what we need for Meche to drop the ashes onto her own leg, because we need the stockings that she's wearing. We got a bad cycle, unfortunately. So what we have to do is we have to turn the ashtray when she's not paying attention exactly. Okay, there we go. We got it on the second cycle, which is good. So we have an unskippable cutscene where she has to take off the stockings. And the reason why we need the stockings is because we are in kind of, for lack of a better term, like a prison camp. That's kind of what Domino is running here. It's like an underground drilling thing, it seems, that they're doing. So we need to be able to make some trades to get some valuable stuff. So the first thing I grabbed was, you might have noticed, was when I was talking to the little angels in the cage there. I talked to them to get them to throw a little pick at me. So we're going to trade that pick with our friend here with the lantern head. And in exchange for our tiny little pick, he's going to give us this massive drill, which is very good for us because we need that. And then in exchange for the silk stockings, again, another fair trade, he's going to give us a gun and ammunition. Well, no, just a gun, no ammunition.
This guy's kind of a pervert.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is. I don't know why he has this stuff and he's in prison. But we make those trades. We get a big motorized drill. We get a gun in order to try and break Meche out of here and get a move on.
Well, I guess if you think about it, silk stockings are just meat balloons. So it's kind of like chapter 1 all over again. Year 1.
Yeah.
The balloons in the mail system.
It all comes full circle.
Yeah.
So we pull out our drill. Right now, we tried to get that done, but we're caught by Domino. And he throws Meche in this locked vault, so we got to break her out. Naturally. So now there's a little puzzle here. So we kind of drill over where the gears of the lock are. That's not going to be enough. And then we have to make it so the gears all have the gap on the side of the door. You can kind of see how I'm kind of lining up a gap on one side there. And the reason why we need a gap is we're going to use our scythe and slide it in there so that they stay in place, and then we can open the door that way. Voila.
Like a little pick. There you go.
Yep, exactly. So then we hop in. Unfortunately, as we're about to see, the only Meche is behind another trapped door, so we have to close the door in order to progress. So we lock ourselves in as a result. So now we are locked in here as well, which seems counterproductive, but we are able to find Meche. And then there is a secret way out of here, luckily for us.
This all seems very elaborate.
Yes, it is elaborate. So we have a very heavy axe here. If we drop it over a very specific point in the floorboard here, there's a hidden hole that we can crawl out of. Now, I actually did a cool piece of speed tech there. So usually, because the axe is so heavy, we cannot move fast at all. But if you click on the transition point while holding the run button, rather, it will make it so that you move the axe at like triple the speed for some reason. So as opposed to me dragging the axe very slowly along the tiles, I like sprinted towards the tiles. It saved quite a bit of time. So now we have Meche out here, but we still need a way to get off the island. So Meche is saved. She's gonna wait. She's gonna wait here until we get a boat. And luckily, I know because I've played this game where a boat is. Now, in terms of the lore, something has also happened in one of the cutscenes, which is that Domino kind of throws Glottis off the edge of a cliff. We think at this point in the story, we actually think Glottis is dead. Luckily for us, that's not the case. When Glottis was thrown off the cliff, he actually was thrown onto like the broken hull of a boat as well. So he needs some materials in order to repair that boat so he can get off. So we're going to help him with that by getting him some materials he needs, namely these spinning grinders, which is going to help with our motor, as well as the ability to yank the boat up from the side of the cliff so we can get it over to the shore, basically. So you'll have to trust me. I used the drill to disconnect the bucket and the chain, but I skipped the animation so we never see them separate. But you're just gonna have to believe me that they're separated. Trust me, I wouldn't lie.
You're a very honest man.
Exactly. So now we get the gears out, so Glottis will be able to repair the ship, and then we move the crane all the way over here, so that the chain falls near where this like current is, for lack of a better term. And then now we're going to slowly make our way down. For some reason, you cannot run here. You have to walk. It drives me nuts because it's such a slow animation. But you have to walk here. And then we're going to pull this lever to change the current a few times. So now the chain is like going down the shaft. And it's going to go all the way to the end where you can conveniently see an anchor is. And then we're going to reverse the current again so the chain gets all knotted up. We're going to reverse the current a third time so the knotted up chain moves forward and hooks around conveniently around the anchor there. And also conveniently, that anchor is attached to the boat that we're trying to repair to get out. So we gave Glottis the pieces he needs, and in addition to that, we got the ability to yank the boat up onto shore. So now we're just going to use the crane. Up we go. So now we got Glottis, we got the boat. Now the last thing we need to do is defeat Domino on the ship. And that's the end of year 3. And now we're on to year 4. We're actually directly at the gates to the afterlife here, but they won't let us through because we don't have tickets.
So we did all this.
Yep.
No ticket.
Well, so the thought being was that we were trying to convince the people who lord over the gates that there's corruption here, and they do believe us, but they are still bound by some law and to say that, hey, we can't let people through here unless they have a ticket to do so. So we weren't able to convince them otherwise. So unfortunately, we're gonna have to do a little bit of backtracking to get tickets for us. Glottis is, a little bit out right now, but that's fine. We're gonna get him in good shape in no time. First, we need some rocket fuel in order to propel us in our little car here. But we don't have the proper fuel. They're working on it, this little train car thing, for lack of a better term, but they don't have the fuel they need. But I am luckily going to introduce them to the fuel they need. This is a callback all the way to year 1. I filled up those balloons and threw them in the mail chute, and they're full of a packing material, and the packing material is used to fill up coffins so that bones can be transported over to the travel agencies. However, we find out that they're highly combustible. So when we went down and looked at one of the coffins earlier, at the beginning of year 4, I took a coffee mug that was left in there that had a bunch of the material in it, and then I put it next to a toaster that I then put a cloth that was covered in gasoline in, and then the fire combined with that material made a rocket sensation, which the people who are working on the little ship there were like, okay, that's it, that's what we need. So now we had the rocket fuel, but then we got stopped back in Rubikava. Throwback to when we were here in year 2.
Throwing it way back.
Throwing it way back. Way back. Luckily for us, Rubikava is like by far the biggest map that we had to deal with as well. I mean, you kind of saw it when I was running. I was all over the place, a lot of different areas. But a lot of areas are closed off this time around, so it's pretty linear as to the places we need to go, which is more useful for, going fast. So we head into the tattoo parlor. We go into his cabinet while he's asleep and grab some liquid nitrogen, which will be important for later. And right now we're trying to break out the rocket car that we used to get to Rubikava in the first place, so that we can get all the way back to the office where we worked in order to get the tickets that we need to get by. However, the rocket car that we used to get here is currently trapped. Basically what's set up is that for some reason they line it with dominoes all the way to like a dynamite based trap. So if we trip a domino trying to get over to the rocket car, then we are gonna have to it'll explode, and then we won't be able to have the rocket car. So we have to figure out a way to avoid the dominoes but still be able to get to our car to disarm the trap. And the way we're going to do this is we're going to capitalize on our old friend's vices. As we recalled in year 2, Glottis is lush. Glottis likes to drink, unfortunately. So we just got we picked up a ship in a bottle that is empty, that we filled up with an alcoholic substance that we are going to then give to Glottis because he cannot control himself. He is
a victim of the creature.
Exactly. That's a good way of putting it. So he drinks it all entirely, and then there's a little cutscene here, but we skipped through it. And then basically we kind of just tease him a little bit or something. I don't know what we say exactly to make him throw up. It's been a while since I played it casually, but he throws up all the alcohol he just drank into where the rocket car is. So you would think that the propulsion of his vomit would probably knock over the dominoes, and if you thought that, you'd be wrong, because for some reason, as we'll see when we go through here, it just makes a nice layer of liquid here that covers all the dominoes. Luckily for us, we got some liquid nitrogen, so we're just going to pour that straight on top. And now we have ice. So now we're not in danger of knocking over the dominoes because they're frozen.
All right. Okay. Of all the little things in this point-and-click adventure that I'm like, okay, yeah, I guess that... No, man. No, we ain't freezing no vomit. It's not like it went over everything in a smooth layer like gravy. The man made rock candy. That's what you just did. Yeah. You made rock candy.
Pretty much. But hey, we got to do what we got to do to get by. So,
got a good reason for taking the easy way out.
Yeah, exactly. So now we're actually back all the way where we work, but it has transformed quite a bit in the 4 years since we've been here. It's more, again, for some reason, it's a theme here. It's turned into more of a casino. I don't know why things keep getting turned into casinos in this game, but that's what happens. And then the big boss guy is up at the top. His name is Hector Le Mans, and what our goal is we need to go up and talk to him and confront him and get the tickets about all the stuff we learned about the underground trade of, you know, Class A tickets and all the scamming and stuff like that. We're going to confront him. We're going to get our tickets. We're going to go. However, because we're back at, you know, where we used to work, we're very easily recognizable. So we can't just march in there. We have to get in there in a disguise, or else we'll never make it up to the big boss. So we have to get a disguise. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to get some face paint. The way that we're going to do that is you can see here we have some casino like performers, for lack of a better term. They're some kind of dancers or singers, I'm not sure. They're getting ready for a show. We're going to grab a pot of hot coffee and pour it on them from the top.
That's just rude.
Yep. So that they can't work because their outfits and stuff are ruined. They're going to run away. And because they run away, they're not showing up for work. We're going to take advantage and take their place. And we're going to come out of this doorway, and now we got the makeup. So that helps with our face, but we're not done yet in terms of the disguise, because we still don't have fancy enough clothes to be going to talk to the big boss. You know, we're still in just like a coat or whatever. Not fancy enough.
I would not pay to see that man dance.
Yeah, exactly. So we need to get a nice suit and stuff, but that's going to come a little bit later. One thing you might be wondering is, because I have a skull in some sort of like can, right? Not a skull, rather a skeletal hand, I should say, in a can. While we were talking at the beginning of this segment of year 4, there was unfortunately there was a dead body in the underground portion. You saw the bush. However, we were able to salvage the person's hand. It was not overtaken by the bushes, so we grabbed it, and now we've put it inside of a grinder. And what we're going to do is, as I mentioned before, the fertilizer reacts very strongly to bones, so we're going to act in reverse. We're basically, what we're meant to do in the run here, in the casual play, is that we're meant to try to follow a track of the fertilizer juice all the way over to the florist. However, if you know what you're doing, all you can do is go directly to the end, and then just use it once, and then you'll find out what you need to do, as opposed to having to follow a long path and get all the way there. As long as you go to the end, is fine. But the reason why we need to talk to the florist is he's kind of like the weapon supplier, if you will, because like I said, the fertilizer is the weapon in order to take down these skeletons. So naturally, the florist has a lot of the fertilizer.
I see.
So we have to go talk to the florist in order to get a weapon. He is underground here in like the sewer system, and there was this alligator in our way. So we defeat the alligator. Oop. No, we don't need to go back down. The way we defeat the alligator is we trick it to look the other way. Then we utilize the remote control hydraulics on the car in order to trap its tail, so it can't move. Now, for some reason, the florist is scared right now. He thinks that somebody is after him. So he puts something over his little doorbell to know that he's not in business. He thinks anybody who goes in right now is an imposter. But what we do is we take the little covering off the bell, and then we just go back in, and then he's just like, oh, a customer. I don't know. It doesn't make sense. I don't really understand this part, but that's what happens. Then he's like, oh, customer, you want to buy a gun and some ammo? Sure, sounds good. We got a gun and some ammo. Another head disappearing glitch there for a second for some reason. Again, I don't know why. Voila.
His eyes are so tiny in proportion to the rest of his head that it makes me laugh.
Glottis, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Glottis is a fun creature. So I highly suggest everyone play this game to really capture what the story is about, but also like to get the voice lines, because there is some really there's a lot of quality voice acting in here, a lot of funny moments. It's just a really good game. So definitely, it's on sale a lot, on Steam and stuff. It's really cheap. Oh, I didn't mean to go in the bathroom yet. That's fine.
The
Just-
inner machinations of Glottis's mind are an enigma.
Exactly. So we're on the casino floor. That elevator leads up to the big boss himself, naturally, but we still are not dressed properly. So we need to get a good suit. So Meche is in disguise as this woman in green here, and this is actually Charlie, all the way back from your Rubikava. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna throw a blanket over Charlie, so he is a little bit confused at the moment. And then we also have another undercover guy that's part of the underground right here. And he doesn't really have a leg. He's a little. He's just a unique skeleton. I don't really know how else to put it. So what he's able to do is he's able to get into the slot machines in order to make them win. He doesn't really have like legs, I guess. So he gets inside the slot machine, makes the numbers pop up so that, you know, all the coins fall out. By the time that Charlie takes the blanket off, he's gonna see that, oh man, I won big, so it's time to go because I got my money. And they're heading on over to a toga party, which is why there's a blanket. It's not just, hey, I'm conveniently carrying a blanket for you to be covered. That blanket is meant to be the toga for the toga party. But he won't go to the toga party until he wins big. So now he won big, time to go to the party. And naturally, like anyone does when they're changing for something in a public place, they just leave their other clothes behind. So we're he changes into the toga for the toga party. Luckily enough for us, he left his fancy suit. So now we got our makeup, we got our fancy suit. We're looking good. Now I'm gonna be silent right now because this is the RNG moment of 4, and it requires a lot of focus. So 1 second.
I believe in you. Look at the concentration.
Nope, didn't get it. Okay, so I didn't get a fast cycle. It's actually really difficult. So what happens there? The RNG cycle of year 4 is based on the doorman there will not let us through unless we can answer a question that we know about Hector Le Mans. And the answer to the question is always a number. So it'll be like, you know, I don't know. There's all kinds of questions that you can ask. It's RNG every time. But the answer to the question will be on the bingo board that's behind us. So you look at first to see the numbers that are on there. And then when it cuts back to the bingo board, there will be a number that is either removed or added. It could be either. And then that number that is removed or added is the correct answer to the question. Now, there's the first time through it, there is a lot of numbers there, so it's really hard to detect which number it's supposed to be. I really tried to get it on the first one, but I got it wrong. I thought I had it right, but I got it wrong. And then I got it on the second one. The second time is significantly easier because there's only like 2 numbers. You know, it's a lot easier to detect. So that's the RNG sequence there. And the other factor of RNG in that part as well is that if the number that it happens to be, which is random at any time, is really high, so you know it could be anywhere from 1 to 32. The higher the number is, the longer it takes to scroll to get there. So that's also an RNG factor. So not only do you want to get it on the first time, you want to hope it's like 4 or something, so you don't have to scroll all the way down to like 30. But this is the last set piece that we have in the run, the greenhouse. So we're right here at the very, very end of the run, basically. Hector, basically what has happened is Hector Le Mans is onto us and he runs away to this greenhouse. So he thinks he's pretty protected in there. Obviously, the greenhouse, lots of fertilizer. He's gonna hole himself up, and he actually does end up shooting us. Luckily enough for us, we have liquid nitrogen, so we pour it directly on the wound to stop the growth of the plants. So we save ourselves. Now, you know, they're distracted. They think we're dead, which is good for us because then we can get a move on.
Under cover of darkness.
Yep. We skip an animation there, but what happens is they have Salvador's head there. They're also burying Salvador, who is if you recall, was the leader of the resistance. They took him out while we were there as well. So, but there's a skirmish there in which we're able to take out the woman who's driving the car there. Salvador tells us that the key to the trunk, because this is actually his car that they stole, the key to the trunk is actually buried on his body, which they buried behind the greenhouse. And when we opened the suitcase to grab our scythe, which was locked in there, Salvador's ticket actually flew out because the ticket is kind of like bound to the individual. So come on, go behind. So we're basically, what we're meant to do is follow the ticket to where Salvador's body is. Luckily, again, it's buried in the same spot every time. However, okay, good. However, I was going to say that this spot also likes to glitch and it just won't trigger for some reason sometimes. But luckily we got it to trigger right away. Now we get a nifty animation skip here. So there's actually a long sequence of us like looking through the body, then finding the key and then pulling it out. But we can actually skip for some reason, and like I don't have to do anything special. I can just click early, and then he'll continue digging through the body while I'm moving. I don't really know why. Just happens that way. But we get the key to go into the trunk. And then voila, in the trunk is the gun with the ammo. Voila. So I know what you're thinking. We're going to go back into that greenhouse. We're going to take out Hector Le Mans. And you're almost right, but not quite right. Instead of taking out Hector Le Mans by just shooting him, because then it's just shootout, you know, and he's done this before, we haven't. We are going to shoot this container, which is full of fertilizer type fumes, and he is locked in the greenhouse currently. So he is going to explode.
Work smart, not hard.
Exactly. And time is coming up here. The last input, me opening the door, is time. And time. There we are. And then you can kind of enjoy this little animation of what happens here, the little last minute cutscenes of what occurs. But yeah, that's Grim Fandango Remastered, you know, beginning to end. Thank you for watching. If you were sticking around through, I know this is a very goofy game, but it's a very fun game, and I swear if you play the story, it makes a lot more sense. It probably does it more justice to listen to it. But just a couple of shout outs as well. Thank you so much to GSA staff and you know, all of the crew here for having me on. I got to do 3 runs for this event, which is just incredible. So I really appreciate you guys having me on here, trying to help raise some money for a good cause, obviously, as well. So I appreciate being part of this in a significant way, like I have been. I wanted to shout out a couple organizations I work with, which are Venatio Esports as well as EOQ Esports, which I'm wearing their jersey now. So thank you guys for assisting me. I wanted to shout out my commentator CJ. Thank you for being here and bantering with me a little bit.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Always fun. Glad we got to do one.
Yeah, glad we got to do one for sure. If you have any shout outs, you want to shout out anything?
Actually, you and I just did a podcast not that long ago on Speedrun Insider. So if you want to hear more about Konception, you can go listen to that. It's on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon, Google, all the podcast places.
Yeah, and then there's a lot of other great speedrunners on there as well. So it's a really great series that I've been working through as well. So definitely give that a listen. But yeah, other than that, thank you guys for watching. Continue to stick around for the rest of the marathon. We got some great runs coming up, and get that money in for a great cause.